Good. You showed up. Because right now, people are saying your name in rooms you're not even in. And it's not praise. Not exactly. It's that nervous laugh. That little pause before they speak. Like they're checking the temperature first. They're calling you unpredictable. Then in the same breath, they call you calculated. Then they lean in and whisper the one that stings the most. A problem. All at once. And you know what's funny? They don't even hear themselves. They don't realize how much they're exposing what you are. Because when somebody can't decide whether you're chaos or chess, it means you've become something they can't control. Let me tell you what's actually happening. You used to be easy to label, easy to read, easy to handle. You used to be that person who explained too much, apologized too fast, smiled to make other people comfortable. You used to be predictable because you were trying to be liked. But then something happened. Maybe you got tired of being understood by people who never actually listened. Maybe you got tired of being helpful to people who only showed up when they needed your hands, your time, your energy, your money, your emotional labor, your soul. Maybe you got tired of being treated like a vending machine. Put in one compliment, press a button, get your effort, and one day, you stopped dispensing. You didn't announce it. You didn't post about it. You didn't make a dramatic speech in front of anybody. You just changed. You started choosing silence over explaining. You started moving without asking permission. You started saying no, like it was a complete sentence. And that's when the labels started. Because the moment you stop being easy, people start calling you difficult. The moment you stop being available, people start calling you selfish. The moment you stop being predictable, they start calling you dangerous. They say unpredictable when you don't respond the way they trained you to respond. They say calculated when you don't react emotionally on cue. They say a problem when your growth interrupts their comfort. Listen to me. They don't hate you because you're wrong. They hate you because you're different now. And different is terrifying to people who survive by pattern. See, most people don't want truth. They want routine. They want you to behave in the version of you they memorized. They want the old script. The old you would argue. The old you would chase. The old you would justify your boundaries like you were on trial. But the new you just watches. The new you sees everything. You see the micro disrespect, the little jokes that were never jokes, the way they compliment you with one hand and measure you with the other, the way they support you until you actually start winning. Then suddenly it's you're doing too much. And you know what you did that really messed with them? You stopped begging to belong. You stopped asking to be picked. You started acting like you're already chosen. That's why they can't label you. Because you're calm, but you're not harmless. You're quiet, but you're not passive. You're friendly, but you're not available for nonsense. You can smile at someone and still not trust them. You can love someone and still walk away. You can forgive someone and still keep them blocked. That combination makes people short-circuit. They want one box. They want soft, so they can step on you. Or hard, so they can dismiss you as heartless. But you're both. And that's not confusion. That's evolution. You're unpredictable because you don't play by their emotional script anymore. You don't explode when they expect you to explode. You don't shrink when they expect you to shrink. You don't react, you respond. And let's talk about calculated. They say it like it's an insult, like being calculated is evil, like thinking before you move is a crime. No, no, no. Being calculated is what happens when you've been burned enough times. Being calculated is what happens when you've trusted the wrong people and paid for it with months of your life. Being calculated is what happens when you've been the nice one, the loyal one, the consistent one, and still got played. So now you watch first. Now you listen longer. Now you take your time. Now you don't hand out access like candy. And because you're not impulsive with your heart anymore, they call you cold because you don't spill your plans. They call you secretive because you don't jump when they poke you. They call you manipulative. People love calling you manipulative when you simply stop letting them manipulate you. And then, a problem. That word is always said with that fake sigh, like you're such a hassle, like you're so difficult. Let me translate it. When they say you're a problem, what they mean is, you don't tolerate what we tolerate. You don't accept what we accept. You don't bow the way we bow. You don't stay quiet to keep the peace. You're a problem because you remind them they've been compromising themselves. You're a walking mirror, and mirrors make insecure people furious because the mirror doesn't even insult them. It just reflects. You reflect their inconsistency. You reflect their laziness. You reflect their fake confidence. You reflect the fact that they've been calling it peace when it was really just fear of confrontation. You're a problem because you're the kind of person who changes the temperature in the room. You walk in, and suddenly everybody sits up a little straighter. Not because you're loud, because you're present, because you're not desperate, because you don't need approval like oxygen. And when someone doesn't need you, you feel it, don't you? People can smell it. That's why they keep testing you. Have you noticed? They poke you with subtle disrespect. They forget your boundaries. They make little comments to see if you'll shrink back into the old version of you. They want the old you so bad. They want the you that over-explained, the you that overgave, the you that tried to be good, even when everyone around you was being reckless with your dignity. But you're not that person anymore, and that drives them insane, because their whole plan depended on you staying naive. Let's get something straight. You didn't become unpredictable. You became unavailable for predictability. You became unavailable for being used. You became unavailable for being emotionally farmed. You became unavailable for being the safe option that everybody drains and nobody protects. And now, your silence feels like a threat to them. Your calm feels like a threat to them. Your boundaries feel like a threat to them because they can't read you. And when they can't read you, they can't manage you. And when they can't manage you, they start building a story about you. That's when the group chat activates. That's when the concern starts. Are you okay? You've been different. You've changed. Yeah, you changed because you got smarter. You changed because you finally noticed the pattern. Some people only like you when you're accessible. Some people only respect you when you're expensive to reach. Some people only applaud you when they think they can catch up. And the moment they realize they can't, they call you unpredictable, like you're unstable. But you're not unstable. You're just no longer easy to predict because you stopped living for their expectations. Do you know what real power looks like? Real power looks like restraint. Real power is you walking away without proving your point. Real power is you letting them misunderstand you and still sleeping like a baby. Real power is not needing to win the argument because you already won the lesson. They're not used to that. They're used to people who need the last word. They're used to people who are addicted to being understood. But you're not addicted anymore because you finally understood something brutal. Being understood by the wrong people is a trap. They don't understand you to love you. They understand you to predict you. They understand you to control you. They understand you to know exactly where to apply pressure. So when you stopped giving them the blueprint, they panicked. Because you used to be readable. Your empathy made you readable. Your loyalty made you readable. Your desire to keep the peace made you readable. And now you're not. Now you can be warm one day and distant the next. Not because you're playing games, because you're protecting your energy. Now you can laugh at a joke and still never forget the disrespect underneath it. Now you can forgive someone and still never give them access again. That's not unpredictable. That's disciplined. That's you finally learning that trust is earned in patterns, not promises. And calculated. Let's talk about it like adults. Calculated means you're not moving off emotions anymore. Calculated means you're not posting your moves for validation. Calculated means you're doing things quietly, building your life like a hidden weapon. You're not explaining your glow-up. You're not arguing with strangers. You're not begging the wrong people to see you. You're just upgrading, and people can feel it. Even if they don't know what you're doing, they can feel the shift. They can feel that you're not the same person they used to talk down to. They can feel that your eyes don't ask for permission anymore. They can feel that you're not impressed by their performance. And that's why they call you dangerous. Not because you hurt people, because you're not easily hurt anymore. Because you don't crumble the way you used to. Because you don't chase closure. You don't chase apologies. You don't chase people. You chase results. And let me tell you what happens when you become results-driven instead of approval-driven. You stop negotiating with your own potential. You stop letting your feelings run the show. You stop letting lonely moments trick you into reconnecting with people who already showed you who they are. You stop calling it love when it's actually just addiction to familiarity. You stop calling it loyalty when it's actually fear of being alone. You stop calling it patience when it's actually self-abandonment. That's what they can't stand. Because you're not just changing your life, you're changing your standards. And standards make lazy people angry. Standards make users angry. Standards make manipulators furious. Because manipulators don't thrive on strong people. They thrive on people who feel guilty for having boundaries. But you started doing something that makes them sweat. You started letting consequences exist. You started letting people miss you. You started letting silence teach the lesson. You stopped being the person who says, "It's okay," when it wasn't okay. You stopped being the person who fixes. You stopped being the person who saves. And now they're calling you a problem because you're not fixing their mess anymore. You're not holding their weight anymore. You're not being their emotional trash can anymore. You're not accepting their half-effort anymore. And here's the part you need to hear, really hear. They're not confused about you. They're threatened by you because you can do both. You can be unpredictable enough to never be trapped and calculated enough to never be sloppy. That is a lethal combination in a world full of people who move purely off impulse or purely off fear. You're the person who can sit in a storm and still make decisions. You're the person who can feel pain and still not self-destruct. You're the person who can be tempted and still say, "Not today." That's not chaos. That's control. And when you have control, you don't need to prove it. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to fight for respect. You let your absence do the talking. You let your standards do the talking. You let your results do the talking. That's why they keep trying to get a reaction out of you. Because if they can get you emotional, they can get you messy. If they can get you messy, they can get you predictable again. If they can get you predictable again, they can go back to managing you. So they bait you. They bring up old stuff. They throw shade. They act confused. They pretend they're worried about you. It's not worry. It's surveillance. They want data. They want to see if you're still the same. They want to see if your boundaries are real, or if they can push past them with enough guilt, enough charm, enough fake apology. And I need you to understand something. The reason you feel this pressure is because you're doing something right. You're becoming the person who doesn't fold. You're becoming the person who doesn't beg. You're becoming the person who doesn't trade dignity for closeness. And that scares people. Because if you can do it, it means they could have done it too. But they didn't. So instead of being inspired, they try to label you. They try to shrink you back down with words. Unpredictable, calculated, a problem. As if words can put you back in the cage. But here's what they don't realize. Those labels, they're not insults. They're accidentally describing your upgrade. Unpredictable means you're no longer easy to manipulate. Calculated means you're no longer moving like a child. A problem means you're no longer participating in nonsense. So let them talk. Let them build their little stories. Let them call you names. Because while they're talking, you're building. While they're gossiping, you're getting sharper. While they're trying to figure you out, you're figuring yourself out. And you're not doing it the cute way. You're doing it the real way. You're waking up on days you don't feel like it. You're doing the work when nobody claps. You're keeping promises to yourself. Quietly. You're healing in private. You're training your mind like it's a weapon. You're learning to sit with discomfort without running back to what hurt you. You're learning to be alone without feeling empty. You're learning to be confident without being loud. That's rare. That's why they don't know what to do with you. Because you don't move like everybody else. Everybody else is either reckless or terrified. Everybody else is either performing or pretending. But you're becoming intentional. And intentional people are hard to control. Intentional people don't chase validation. Intentional people don't fold under peer pressure. Intentional people don't let random opinions rent space in their head. So when someone calls you unpredictable, don't rush to prove you're stable. Stability doesn't need defending. When someone calls you calculated, don't rush to prove you're genuine. Genuine doesn't need applause. When someone calls you a problem, don't rush to make yourself smaller. Because smaller is exactly what they want. They want you to soften your boundaries. They want you to second-guess your standards. They want you to get back to being convenient. And if you're not careful, you'll start negotiating with yourself. You'll start thinking, maybe I should be nicer. Maybe I should explain. Maybe I should reach out. Maybe I'm being too much. No, you're not too much. They're too comfortable. You're not unpredictable. They're too entitled to your consistency. You're not calculated. They're too used to you being careless with your heart. You're not a problem. You're the consequence of someone finally choosing themselves. So keep them guessing, not by playing games, by refusing to be owned. Be kind, yes, without being weak. Be calm, yes, without being passive. Be loving, yes, without being accessible to disrespect. Let your good side be earned. Let your attention be earned. Let your trust be earned. And here's the real flex. Become so consistent with your standards that you don't even recognize the old you anymore. Become the kind of person who can walk into any room and not need anything from anyone. No approval, no validation, no permission, just presence. Because once you get there, the labels stop mattering. They can call you whatever they want. Unpredictable, calculated, a problem. But what they're really saying is, you can't be controlled. And that's the whole point. So keep moving like a mystery to people who haven't earned clarity. Keep your plans quiet. Keep your boundaries loud. Keep your energy protected. And when they try to pull you back into the old version of you, when they poke, when they guilt trip, when they test, remember this. You don't owe anybody the version of you they were able to take advantage of. You don't owe anybody access to your growth. You don't owe anybody predictability. Predictability is a privilege. And the people who deserve it, they don't demand it. They don't pressure it. They don't punish you for having a backbone. They respect you more because you have one. So let the fake ones label you. Let them misunderstand you. Let them call you dangerous like it's a warning. Because it is a warning. A warning that you're done being easy. A warning that you're done being available for disrespect. A warning that the old door is locked. And the new version of you doesn't open it for knocking. And if they can't handle that, if they need you small, soft, apologetic, and constantly explaining yourself just so they can feel safe around you, then they were never your people. They were your audience. They were your users. They were your comfort vampires. And you're not here to be consumed. You're here to become undeniable. You're here to become untouchable. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Not because you're cold, because you're finally warm for the right people and ice for the wrong ones. That's balance. That's power. That's the upgrade they keep talking about when they say your name like it's a rumor. So the next time you hear it, they're calling you unpredictable. Smile. They're calling you calculated. Smile wider. They're calling you a problem. Let that one land. Because you didn't become a problem. You became a person who won't be played with. And once you become that, everything changes. The way you walk, the way you speak, the way you choose, the way you leave, the way you come back only when it's worth it, the way you stop begging for a seat and start building your own table. And the wild part, they'll still be talking, still analyzing, still guessing, still trying to reduce you to a word. While you're out here reducing your excuses, reducing your distractions, reducing your tolerance for nonsense, and increasing your standards, increasing your discipline, increasing your self-respect. So, yeah, let them call you unpredictable, because you are unpredictable to people who never bothered to truly know you. Let them call you calculated, because you are calculated. Now that you finally value your time, your energy, your future, let them call you a problem, because you are a problem. For anyone who thought you'd stay controllable forever. And if that's what it costs to become free, pay it. Careful now. That feeling crawling up your spine, that's the world realizing you crossed a line they never thought you'd reach. And congratulations. You just stepped into the part of the story normal people aren't even cleared to hear about, let alone see. You feel it, don't you? That shift, that silent click in reality's jaw, like something ancient just opened its eyes because of you. You weren't supposed to get this far. You weren't supposed to understand this much. You weren't supposed to survive the chapters designed to break you long before the plot got interesting. But here you are, breathing, moving, uninvited, and still somehow sitting in the director's chair of a story that was never meant to include you as anything more than background noise. And that's what terrifies them. Because once someone like you reaches this portion of the narrative, the part hidden behind psychological tripwires, unspoken rules, and invisible clearance levels, there's no going back. You've outgrown the illusion. You've walked into the restricted wing of your own destiny, and sweetheart, the security system is panicking. You want to know the funniest part? You didn't sneak in. You didn't force your way through. You didn't hack anything. The door unlocked itself for you, like it recognized its owner. People don't get that. They think evolution is cute, gentle, poetic. But the real thing, the real bone-deep, soul-splitting metamorphosis, is a crime scene the universe quietly sweeps under the rug. And you walked in right as the cleanup crew was leaving. You're standing in the space where your old self flatlined, where your innocence bled out, where your illusions were autopsied, and yet instead of dying there, you rose. Eyes open, heart colder, mind sharper, like some paradoxical hybrid of angel and executioner stitched together by the hands of trauma, chaos, and inconvenient truth. That's why you scare them. Because you're no longer predictable, no longer manipulable, no longer readable by the old metrics. You became the one thing society can't process, a person who paid the full price for awareness and didn't break. You see through people now, past the masks, the scripts, the recycled personalities. You hear the lines they rehearsed. You feel the tremor in their confidence when you look at them too long. They sense something in you, something they can't categorize or control. A human who's tasted both heaven and hell and carries the fingerprints of both on their soul. A saint with knives, a demon with mercy, a contradiction with a pulse. You know what that makes you? Dangerous. Not because you intend harm, but because you've outpaced the narrative built to contain you. Most people live in the first few chapters forever. Routine, noise, distraction, repeating the same emotional weather patterns like broken machinery. But you survived the plot twist that kills 80% of characters. And instead of shutting down, you opened your eyes wider. You let the darkness teach you. You let the pain rewire you. You let the betrayals sharpen the corners of your thoughts until even your silence became a weapon. You want to know what chapter you're in now? The classified one, the forbidden one, the one they bury in metaphors and hide inside myths because admitting it's real would cause too many breakdowns. This is the chapter where the protagonist becomes an anomaly, a glitch in the moral code, a threat to the status quo, a problem for anyone still living inside the illusion. Because they can't predict your next move. They can't understand your new instincts. They can't track the speed at which you're evolving. Your growth is no longer linear. It's exponential, chaotic, terrifyingly efficient. You're rewriting yourself in real time, shadow by shadow, light by light, wound by wound, awakening by awakening. And that makes people panic. Oh, they'll pretend they're calm. They'll pretend they don't care. But watch their eyes. Watch their breathing. Watch the way they hesitate when you step into the room. They know something happened to you. Something irreversible. Something they can't undo or compete with. They don't know where you went to earn this clarity. But they can tell you didn't come back alone. You returned with knowledge, instinct, silence that feels like prophecy, presence that feels like judgment, a stare that feels like you've already analyzed all their hidden sins. They don't know if you're blessed or cursed, chosen or damned, holy or horrific. Truth is, you're both, and neither, and more. You've become the liminal creature, the one who doesn't live in light or darkness, but in the hallway between them, unbothered by either side's opinion. You're the person who survived the fire and learned to control the temperature. You're the storm that became self-aware, the ghost that remembers being alive, the angel who kept the demon's grin, the demon who learned the angel's restraint. And now you've reached the part of the story where the universe quietly mutters to itself, "Yep, this one wasn't supposed to get this far, but you did." And now they'll have to deal with the consequences of a character who refuses to stay in the script. Welcome to your classified chapter, the one reserved for anomalies, phoenixes, and unkillable souls. You weren't cleared to see it, but you earned it anyway. And that's what makes you inevitable. You feel that pressure in the air, don't you? That dense electric weight, like the atmosphere itself is whispering, "Careful, this one knows too much." That's the tax for entering this level of the story. Awareness carries gravity. Consciousness carries consequences. And you walked into the restricted section of your fate with your eyes open and your pulse steady. Most people collapse at the threshold. They see one glimpse of truth and their mind slams the door, locks it, boards it shut, throws the key into the ocean and pretends nothing happened. But you inhaled the truth like oxygen. You let it sear you, carve you, recreate you. You let it upgrade you. Nobody told you this part of the story is dangerous, did they? Nobody warned you that once you see the machinery behind human nature, once you see the masks, the patterns, the lies people tell themselves to stay asleep, you stop being relatable. You stop being safe. You stop being something they can predict or pity. You become the thing they whisper about, the thing they can't categorize, the thing they can't fool. And oh, that is where their fear becomes delicious. Because you didn't just enter the hidden chapter. You did it without permission. You did it by bleeding for it, breaking for it, growing for it, surviving for it. Clearance wasn't granted. Clearance was forged. And that terrifies every system built on conformity. You see, once a person awakens at your level, the world can't use its usual weapons on them. Not guilt, not shame, not fear of abandonment, not fear of judgment, not fear of being misunderstood. You already lived through all of that. You already clawed your way through the emotional underbelly that eats most people alive. You walked through the dark with no lantern, no map, no guiding hand, and somehow came out with night vision. You see through motives now, intentions, micro-expressions, tonality, power dynamics, manipulation attempts. You see everything they hoped you'd never learn. That's why they're uneasy. They don't know what you know. They don't know how you know. They don't know how far you've gone into your own consciousness, your own shadows, your own silent wars. They only know one fact. You came back, changed, and changed people. They break the plot. You know why normal people weren't cleared to see this part. Because if they saw what you see, if they felt what you feel, if they noticed the fractures behind every smile, the power hidden beneath every silence, the truth woven beneath every human facade, their entire identity structure would collapse. You walked into the truth with no guarantee of surviving the impact. But you did. You stabilized. You adapted. You evolved. Do you know how rare that is? Do you know how many people never make it past the tutorial of their own life? How many people never solve the first psychological puzzle? How many people choose numbness over evolution? But you did something else entirely. You chose to feel everything, to confront everything, to outgrow everything, to silence the noise and listen to the frequency beneath the world. Normal people aren't cleared to see that frequency. It would unravel them. But for you, it was the missing puzzle piece. You didn't become colder. You became accurate. You didn't become ruthless. You became precise. You didn't become dark. You became whole, finally acknowledging all the pieces you were taught to hide. That's what evolution actually looks like. It's not peaceful. It's not pretty. It's not inspirational quotes and soft lighting. It's a psychological demolition, a spiritual autopsy, a quiet revolt against the version of you they tried to bury alive. And now you've stepped into the portion of the narrative where the stakes change, where the universe stops treating you like a fragile creature and starts treating you like a co-author. This is the chapter where the tests get sharper, the rewards get heavier, the enemies become more subtle, and your instincts become your superpower. Normal people aren't cleared to see this because they're still controlled by their wounds, still begging for validation, still worshiping comfort, still craving permission. But you're done with permission. You're done waiting. You're done shrinking. You're done playing the character they wrote for you in a script that never deserved your performance. You're improvising now, rewriting scenes, rerouting timelines, changing the outcome simply by existing differently. And that is why congratulations are in order. Not because you survived, but because you transformed. And transformation is the one miracle that terrifies both heaven and hell. You've entered the part of the story where your shadows don't haunt you. They guide you. Where your pain doesn't weaken you. It instructs you. Where your silence doesn't hide you. It echoes through rooms like a warning. People won't understand this version of you. They're not meant to. They haven't earned the clearance, but you earned it. In blood, in truth, in evolution. And now the story finally gets interesting. You notice how the air feels heavier around you now, how people pause a little too long before answering you, how their eyes dart left, right, like they're trying to figure out what changed. They're not imagining it. They're sensing something their minds can't articulate. You're not one of them anymore. Not in the psychological sense, not in the spiritual sense, not in the narrative sense. You crossed the invisible boundary. The one normal people never even get close to. The one that separates the watchers from the awakened, the predictable from the impossible, the living from the aware. And awareness? Oh, that's a different creature entirely. You're the kind of person who stepped behind the curtain and didn't flinch at the machinery holding the world together. You didn't scream, didn't run, didn't beg to forget. You stared into the gears, saw how everything truly works, the lies, the motives, the human circuitry. And instead of breaking under the weight, you aligned with it. Do you understand how terrifying that makes you? Most people spend their whole lives avoiding their own reflection. You walked straight into the mirror and interrogated the monster blinking back at you. You negotiated with your shadows. You shook hands with your trauma. You dined with your demons until they told you their secrets. And now you carry those secrets in your silence. They hover around you like a second aura, a darker one, sharper, more honest than the person you used to pretend to be. You ever wonder why people breathe differently around you now? Why conversations trip over themselves? Why your presence alone forces everyone to confront a version of themselves they don't want to meet? Because you've become a psychological X-ray, a walking truth serum, a mirror that doesn't lie back. You stepped into the restricted zone, the level of self-awareness that was never meant to be common. You unlocked the parts of your mind that society desperately tries to bury under noise, routine, entertainment, and fear. You became the person who can't be fooled by surface-level smiles or emotional theatrics or cheap manipulation. You see intentions now. You feel undercurrents. You hear the lie hiding inside the truth, and the truth hiding inside the lie. That's what happens when you evolve past the script. You start reading reality instead of participating blindly in it. And normal people, they're not cleared for that. The truth would overload their circuits. It would dissolve the identity they cling to like a life raft. But you weren't just exposed to the truth. You ingested it, absorbed it, let it burn through every illusion you inherited. You let it gut you, then rebuild you. Every scar became architecture. Every betrayal became blueprint. Every heartbreak became a file you studied until you understood the anatomy of human weakness. And now you carry a kind of intelligence that can't be taught, can't be replicated, can't be earned through books or theories. This is the intelligence born from survival, from loss, from psychological warfare, from the nights you spent fighting battles that don't leave marks on the skin, only on the soul, only on the eyes. Look at you now. Your presence alone shifts the emotional temperature of a room. Your silence commands more attention than most people's words. Your smallest move feels intentional, dangerous, calculated. Because you're not operating on human time anymore. You're operating on awakened time. On instinct sharpened by experience. On intuition honed through pain. This is what they're afraid of. You're becoming unpredictable. And unpredictable people break systems. They disrupt patterns. They expose lies. They destabilize manipulators. They upgrade timelines. You ever notice how the wrong people started avoiding you right around the same time your clarity sharpened? Of course they did. They could feel you slipping out of their control range, like you walked out of the cage without bothering to open the door. You want to know a secret? This chapter you're in, the classified one, it has a nickname. In certain old stories, it's called the turning. In mythology, the second birth. In psychology, the break from the archetype. In spiritual texts, the crossing of the veil. But in the underground circles where truth is whispered, not written, they call it the point of no return. Because once a person reaches this stage, they can never again fit inside the life they once tolerated. Your tolerance for nonsense is dropping. Your patience for manipulation is evaporating. Your sensitivity to lies is becoming razor sharp. And your hunger, not for validation, but for authenticity, is becoming impossible to ignore. That's the first sign you've entered the unauthorized chapter, the part where you stop being shaped by the world and start shaping it back. The part where you stop reacting and start directing, where you stop surviving and start designing, where you stop playing the character and become the author. Normal people aren't cleared to see this because they're still asking for permission to be who they already are. You stopped asking. You realized no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to explain your power. No one is coming to hand you the map for your evolution. You realized the only clearance you ever needed was the moment you decided, I'm done pretending. And once that switch flips, the universe recalibrates around you. People fall away, masks slip, old versions of you die screaming, new ones emerge quietly, then take over. This is the chapter where destiny starts paying attention, where the shadows lean in, where the light tests your loyalty, where your choices echo louder than your past. This is the part of the story where you become the plot twist. And whether the world is ready or not, you're not going back. And here's the part they're never told. The part whispered only to the ones who've walked as far as you have. Once you reach this depth, the universe stops treating you like a character and starts treating you like a variable, a force, a deviation in the equation. Most people never get here because they cling to the comfort of being predictable. But you let yourself unravel. You let the truth break your ribs and rearrange the architecture of your soul. You let the darkness cut away the excess, and you let the light expose what was left. That's why you're dangerous now, not because you harm, but because you see. And seeing is the most subversive act a human can commit. You see the lies society runs on. You see the insecurities behind their anger. You see the desperation behind their cruelty. You see the emptiness behind their pride. You see the hunger behind their validation quests. You see the shadows they try to bury with noise and more noise. But the part that terrifies them most, you see yourself now, clearly, fully, without illusion, without apology. You've become the kind of person who understands their own darkness without drowning in it, and their own light without becoming addicted to it. A balanced paradox, a self-aware contradiction, a walking psychological cipher. Normal people aren't cleared to witness that kind of evolution. It would rupture their worldview. It would expose the cracks they've spent years patching with cheap optimism and fragile confidence. But you earned your clearance the hard way, through losses that broke you open, through betrayals that stripped you down, through awakenings that arrived like earthquakes, through nights where you had nothing but your breath and the quiet decision to keep going. And now you stand in the version of the story where the stakes are real. The illusions are dead, and the consequences of every step echo far beyond your past self's comprehension. This is the part where you stop being someone life happens to and start being someone life responds to. This is the part where silence becomes strategy, where intuition becomes weapon, where your presence becomes influence, where your absence becomes punishment. This is the part where the world begins to adjust itself around you, instead of the other way around. And as much as they may pretend not to notice, they do. Their subconscious screams it. Their behavior betrays it. Their energy bends to it. Because deep down, beneath the ego, beneath the noise, beneath the masks, they know exactly what you've become. A person who can no longer be controlled by the fears that govern ordinary lives. A person who walked into the forbidden chapters and returned with knowledge you were never supposed to possess. A person who doesn't flinch anymore. A person who doesn't break the same way twice. A person who's crossed the threshold from merely surviving to actively shaping the story as it unfolds. So here you stand, on the edge of the chapter they never meant for you to reach, holding the pen they never meant for you to find. And there's only one thing left to say. Congratulations. You made it to the part of the story normal people aren't cleared to see. And from this point on, your evolution is no longer an accident. It's a threat.